it's Kalia Monique. My first name's Kalia, my middle name's Monique. It's Kalia Monique. Today I have my fall book tag for you all, so go ahead, get cozy, grab your favorite blanket, grab your mug of hot cocoa or coffee, and get nice and cozy because this is going to be a fun one. I don't personally have coffee because I drank all of mine before I started filming. And so here we are. This is water, but I adore this mug from Illumicrate. Like, I have used it non-stop since I opened my box. I love it here. It was very humbling for me to count out how many books of mine I have not yet read. I don't want to talk about it, okay? I don't want to talk about it. Thing is just so exhausting. Oh my god, no pictures, please. I'm yelling at them, just leave, get out, like leave now. We don't need to go through all this. Why are you heading towards trauma on purpose? I love you too. You're literally sunshine as a person, but thank you so much. Autumn is actually my favorite season. It is the season my birthday is in. I live in Washington State, so like genuinely, there is no season that looks as beautiful as fall when it comes to Washington State. Just the gradient of the trees as the leaves start to change, and you'll have like one green tree, one like lighter green heading into yellow trees now, and then orange, and then literally just beautiful. So let's go ahead and get into this book tag. Grab your mug, light your candle, get your blanket, and let's get into it. Prompt number 1. In fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angeles. Now I'm going to try to have books on this list or in this video that I don't talk about much on my channel. I'm gonna try. Some of them I have talked about before, but I have my reasons. Now this is a book that I have talked about before on my channel. I talked about it in a vlog. I talked about it in a wrap-up. When it comes to the setting, this book did the assignment. I was entranced by this book. I was like, the amount of times I would be reading this book and I would lose sense of like the real world. Like every time I picked up this book, I was in the book. I was in the world of the book and really entranced in that setting, in that atmosphere. Just personally for me, it was character development that fell short for me, because even the storyline was just very beautiful to me. It was the character development that kind of fell short for me in this book. I'm still like very excited to get to the second one. Hopefully it can answer some of those questions I have when it comes to the characters. But yeah, just again, like there's nothing I love more than just being entranced by a book and losing sense of the real world as I'm reading. Like, isn't that what every reader wants? Even though I can see images as I read, I don't necessarily always lose sense of reality as I'm reading. And when a book can do that for me, it's just the greatest feeling ever. Like, it's like, it's so euphoric. It's just it's beautiful. I love it so much, because when it does come to like books that like just entrance me in the world, they are far and few in between. This is the most recent one I can think of.
Nature is beautiful, but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written, but also deals with a heavy topic like loss or grief.
Okay, so the book I'm choosing for this one is The Heart Principle by Helen Wong. Again, I have talked about this book before, but when it comes to this setting of the book, I haven't really talked about it very much. And also, I just need more people to read this book with the right mindset. Now, I feel like this book has gotten a kind of a bad rep because it is the final book in like a standalone series. So there was 3 books in the series, or trilogy, I guess. A standalone trilogy. So there's 3 books in the trilogy. They are each standalones. This is the 3rd one, and it was supposed to be like the conclusion to everything that happened. Now, Helen Wong went a different route with telling this story, and it made everything so much more emotional. What I really love about the standalone series, starting with the Kiss Quotient, then it is the Bride Test, and now we have the Heart Principle. What I really liked about the overall trilogy was it always felt throughout the series that Helen Wong was exploring different aspects of her life and trying to navigate them, trying to understand them better and create like this clarity with them all. It always felt therapeutic in a sense. So from what I understand from the series, the Heart Principle was the first book Helen Wong had written earlier on in her being diagnosed with high functioning autism. So with the character Stella, was the first character, right? With the character Stella, you kind of get like this, and like you kind of can tell that Helen Wong had kind of experienced these things, and you could tell like these are. It just felt like she was exploring all these different aspects of her life that could have been a result of her being high functioning on the autism spectrum, because she was diagnosed later on in life. With the second book, it seemed as though she was exploring more her relationship with her mother and her mother as a person in her life, because in the author's note she had mentioned how her mother was kind of inspired the character Esme. But with the Heart Principle, Helen Wong was exploring her instances of grief. It was exploring what it was like being a caretaker to a parent, like a sick parent, because she did take care of her mom as her mom was passing on from cancer, and how it truly impacted her mental health, as well as like family, as well as exploring within the characters. And I'm not going to say that this applies to Helen Wong's life at all, because we don't know that much. Like, that's not what was in the author's note. But she also delved upon what it's kind of like this gaslighting that happens within families of not really, like, when you are so close to your family, sometimes you don't take a moment to check in on each other. You don't check in on each other's mental health or anything. And sometimes you are impacting each other's mental health in a negative space, because you're both trying to grieve a parent, you're both trying to grieve someone. There's like this point in grieving where you're alone, grieving yourself and your relationship with this person, but there's also this part of grieving that you do with other people of, we all knew this person. I didn't even mention this in my date with the author video that I did with Helen Wong, and it felt like I was a fly on the wall and in like a therapy session, or that I was like reading her therapy journal. And so I just really appreciated this book for that. Fall is back to school season. Share a nonfiction book that taught you something new. Alright, so with this prompt, thinking more along the lines of teaching me something new. Oftentimes with nonfiction, I'm reading topics that I know of, and just trying to get different perspectives of that topic. Like I have mentioned before, I was a criminal justice minor. A lot of the nonfiction I read deals with the criminal justice system, or it deals with Black experiences. And so a nonfiction book that I read that I would say was outside of that like topic and taught me a lot. Like, it taught me so much, and I found so interesting. Honestly, I should reread it at some point, because I honestly don't think I got like everything I could have gotten from this book when I first read it, because I was literally just trying to read it for class and kind of just like speed through it. And so I definitely want to go back and slow down my reading of it and really grasp each topic, because there really was so much, to the point where I was just like, I don't know, I kind of had like a brain fart and like shut down a little bit. But Uninhabitable Earth by Davis Wallace Wells, I really did enjoy this book, because just the way it David Wallace Wells dives on each of the topics and explaining just how impactful global warming is to every aspect of our lives. There was a time in this book I am so upset. I know for a fact that I was marking this book and then I, for some reason, took out my tabs. I think I thought I was going to sell this to my school's bookstore, and then I just never did because I liked the book. But there was one description in this book in which he described what is happening internally with your body when you're having a heat stroke. And I got so scared. Like, oh my God. Like, a heat stroke is, for something that is so common, drink your water, folks. Drink your water, first of all. But heat strokes, for me, or at least in my life, seemed so common. Like, I knew multiple people who had heat strokes. I knew quite a few people who had more than one. I think I've had a heat stroke before, but I can't really remember. I vaguely remember having a heat stroke when I was, like, really young, but I could be dramatic and memory is failing me. But, like, again, in this book, he described what is really happening to your body internally when you're having a heat stroke, and I wanted to cry and scream. It was terrifying. I learned so much from this book, and that's, again, like I was saying, I kind of had to, like, speed read or, like, graze through this book kind of as I was reading it, because it was for an undergrad class, which meant that I had to read this entire book in, like, a week, along with 50 other books that I had to read that week. And so I was kind of speed reading through it at the time. And I definitely want to reread it and really dive deep into everything. This book scared the living shite out of me. Like, and it's all of us. Literally, that whole course was just so terrifying. I was like, do we have hope? Like, and it was like a running joke in that class. Like, where is the hope? We're all gonna die. Like, there's no hope. It's over. We're not doing any better. I'm done. Yeah, this book, though, I definitely recommend. Take your time with it. Really make sure you're grasping the material. I would say it's very tangible, and, like, as a nonfiction book from undergrad, it was a very tangible read. I understood everything. Again, I'm still upset for that experience of having to speed read it the way I did. That book taught me a lot and scared the crap out of me. Okay, so now on to prompt number 4. In order to keep warm, it's good to spend some time with people we love. Name a fictional family, household, or friend group that you'd like to be a part of. The Black Veins. Blythe and her friends, who, honestly, they weren't true friends for a good part of this book. But when they finally got together, realized that they were friends, realized how much they meant to each other. Just greatness. Honestly, I would love to be a part of this friend group before they were friends. Like, literally, I just love every single person in this friend group. I care about them all so deeply. They're so funny. We all know Storm is my girl. I love her so much. And honestly, when I think of, like, okay, I know for a fact I did not mention the author's name, so I'm just gonna be like, hey, Asia Monet did that. Black Veins. Like, when I think of the ultimate friend group, right here, they, first of all, make them going on this journey together and developing their friendship so beautifully done. Like it wasn't an easy friendship to develop. Each character had to get to know each other better. Each character had their, like, guard up in some way, some fashion, some form. And when it finally got to them being like, I care about them outside of this journey that we are on, it was just so beautiful. This is the friend group I would want to be a part of. And then, honorable mention, a family I would want to be a part of, absolutely the Brown Sisters trilogy. The Brown family, Chloe Brown, Danny Brown, Eve Brown, and them, their grandma Gigi. Literally, this family is so welcoming, so warming. They're supportive of each other as creatives. They're supportive of each other's careers. The sisters, as like sisters, are just so loving and caring towards each other and so protective of one another. They're all so like silly and goofy in their own ways. Just like this family just oozed love and support. And they did have their faults that we got to see a bit more in Eve Brown's story. Just like as a family, love was seeping through the pages when the family was interacting in all three of these books. So I really did enjoy that. Personally, as someone who loves my family dearly and who, like, my family is a big part of my life, it was great to read another family that cares so deeply about each other and was just so supportive of each other and just so unapologetically there for each other. Loved that. The colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of books of fall color spines. I don't feel like picking. Okay, how much is a pile? Also, there's that. I would like to mention that there's like a pile is a pile, bro. Like what? Okay, that didn't make any bit of sense, did I? I'm gonna put Muse and Nightmares up in there. Okay, Priory, we need a little bit of yellow and some green. Oh, hold up. Wait a minute. I need some green. You love how I'm like literally still sitting? I don't want to get up. Removing that. I'm trying to think of like fall or like autumnal drives and what the trees look like. So I want some green. Does this look like fall to y'all? It kind of looks like fall to me. You have your green thing. The tree is still very much alive. It hasn't quite gotten to the dead part yet. And then they start to get a little yellow, you know. A little less green, kind of green, but they get on the more yellow side, and then after yellow, they go more orange, and then, of course, we have the reds. At least that's how I think of fall. I think this, it doesn't look that autumnal. Is that how you say that? Autumnal to me, but also, these are autumn colors, so I don't know. I would. Also, just like topic-wise, a good portion of this book I pictured as taking place in autumn. But that might have just been me. Like, there was a good portion of this book, or enough for me, anyways, that, like, took place on a boat for Priory of the Orange Tree, and that just made me think that it was autumn. And I also think it actually took place, like, throughout a year, I believe. So, yeah. There was just, with all the books I chose, there was also like an autumnal feel between the books as well. So we have Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. This takes place in autumn. Everything about this book feels like autumn. It is so great. Thoroughly enjoyed this book. Gave it a 4-star, I think. Maybe 4.5. Probably a 4-star though. Where did I get this from? Did I get it from here? Next, we have Muse and Nightmares. We all know that I love this book with my whole heart, soul, and being. Sarai is my baby. Protect Laszlo at all time. Like, all that and everything. Black Joy brings me joy. It screams autumn to me. I have yet to read a single essay in here. I just haven't had the time, but look at it. It just looks so beautiful. And that is a collection of essays by a number of different authors. And then we have The Witch is Steeped in Gold, which I also have yet to read yet, but we gonna get there at some point. We really are. That was such a weird prompt, but I'm here for it. The nights are darker. Share a dark, creepy read. A dark and creepy read. Remember at the beginning of this Remember at the beginning of this video where I was like, I'm gonna try and not talk about books that I've already talked about. I don't read that much horror. I think we've discussed this when I was trying to find books for Thrill of Thought. I don't read very much horror. I don't read very many creepy books, but two that I would say literally terrified the crap out of me was definitely White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson and The Taking of Jake Livingston by Ryan Douglas. These two books, I would say on the creepy factor though, White Smoke all the way. This one was scary, but it wasn't exactly creepy. It was just like depressing and kind of very gory, and just a lot emotionally. So there's that. But when it came to like creepy, this one, like when I think of White Smoke, I think of this one scene in particular where this hand was described, and the hand was described multiple times in this dang book. But the very first time the hand was described, there was this shower scene, and I wanted to vomit. I believe that I was doing live sprints at the time. I don't remember on whose channel, but you saw me in that live almost throwing up. Like literally, The main character Mari is afraid of bed bugs. Like she has a very extreme phobia of bed bugs and bugs in general, but particularly bed bugs. And just every time she would mention how scared she was, I just knew there was going to be something with a fucking bug in it. I knew there was going to be bugs coming somewhere, some way, somehow. I'm not even going to say whether or not I was right, because that's not what matters. What matters is that every time she would talk about how much she hates bed bugs, I wanted to vomit. I don't know if I'm necessarily afraid of bugs, especially after reading how she was dealing with her phobia, but I definitely don't like them and find them very disgusting and gross. I mean, I'm good for crying over a bug being in my room. Like, especially if I can't get it, I will just, like, cry and, like, beg the bug to leave my room. Like, please, I'm not gonna kill you because I'm too scared to get that close to you. Just please leave my room. I hate bugs. And so just every time bugs were described, or Marigold would go deeper into why she hates bed bugs and like really explaining just what they do and everything, I just, whoo, child, ooh, chile, ooh, ha, ooh, very creepy. This book is very creepy. Oh, I skipped a prompt, awkward. Going back, that was prompt 7. We're on prompt 6, or we were supposed to do. So going back, because I skipped a prompt, my bad. Fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein somebody is telling a story. Oh, wait. Am I wrong? I think I'm... Oh, no, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. Where'd it go? Oh, no. Yeah. This counts. It has to count, right? It has to. Right, yeah, it totally counts. I don't know why I'm looking at y'all, like y'all know. When I first read this, I was thinking of A Dowry of Blood, because it's kind of told in like letter format, but I've talked about A Dowry of Blood before in a video. Really enjoyed that book, definitely recommend it. Everybody talks about that book. Shadow of the Wind though, Shadow of the Wind. I gave this book a 3.5 stars. Is that what I gave it? I think so. This book, Carlos Ruiz Zafón, has a huge potential of being on my favorite authors list after reading this book. I really want to get to the next one in this like standalone series. This book, I don't even know how to describe it. So I think I had mentioned in my birthday book haul that something I liked about this book was that something about the atmosphere, something about how much Danielle like cared for books, and something about like the books being erased felt similarly to me as like the premise, like some part of the premise for Strange the Dreamer, and we all know how much I love that duology. And at the beginning of this book, I was getting all the Strange the Dreamer vibes. Like, the stories are not the same at all. They're not similar. It's not like that. But just the vibes, the atmosphere of all that was happening at the beginning of both books just felt very similar. And then, of course, Shadow of the Wind went its own route. The depiction of the love between a reader and a story in this book just felt so romantic and beautiful. Just like this, the atmosphere of this book was so romantic and sensual, and just all the fall vibes. There was like this like mystical, kind of like fantastical, is that a word? Fantastic atmosphere to this book as well. There was just, but mainly for me, the strongest atmosphere in this book was like that romantic, sensual, creepy vibes. There's also like this very scary vibes going on within this book, and honestly quite violent at times. A lot of times. Sometimes not so much necessary. But this book, just the way it depicted the love between a reader and the stories within books, I felt so seen. This, I don't even know how to describe this book necessarily. Like, I don't know how to describe my love for this book, except for how much, like, again, just that description of the relationship between a reader and a story. Beautiful. Like, Danielle is he's telling you the story of this book he found and this journey he went on to find other books by the author. But as he's going on this journey to find other books by the author, trying to find out the mystery surrounding this author and why their books keep getting destroyed, he's meeting different people, and those people are telling him stories that will explain that author's life. And so, yeah, there's that storytelling element. But again, it just was so romantic and beautiful. Like I said, Carlos Ruiz Zafón has the highest potential right now to being one of my favorite authors. This book, so beautiful. Oh, I was so trapped by this world. Like I said, I gave this book a 3.5. It was a 4.5 because it was just something keeping me back from that 5-star rating. But then also, there was just the characters in particular that I could not stand in this book that used horrible language and outdated terms. And so, just the amount of times that character was prevalent and the amount of times they were saying things disgusted me enough to where I hated them so much that I was taken out of the story in the words that they were using and how they were using it. And although it's very clear to me that the author does not agree with these opinions, from the sheer, like, from the characters that used that language, those were the bad guys in the book. Like, they were evil people in this book. And so there was no time where I was like, oh, Carlos Ruiz Zafón, like, oh, what's going on? But literally, bad people used bad language and completely outdated terms and hateful, spiteful, disgusting words. But they were also hateful, disgusting people. And so, yeah, thoroughly enjoyed this book. 3.5. I cannot wait to get to the next one. I hope I can get to it soon. I don't even own it, but I'm like, I want it. So, the days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm somebody's cold and rainy day. Felix Ever After by Case and Calendar. This book, it deals with, okay, so like, quick trigger warning for this book. The whole premise of the book is dealing with Felix Love, who has been outed in his school as trans, like that is a huge part of the plot of him being outed, of how people are interacting with him as a trans male in school, and people are horrible. They're literally horrible people. But Felix, you see all these purple, you see all these pink tabs right here. As Felix started to get more comfortable with his identity and more comfortable with defending himself and coming to his own aid, this story became so beautiful. Also, when we were introduced to other trans characters or to other queer characters, and they were discussing their identity and just the realities of their lives. Like, there were so many moments where I was just like, yes, poetry. I'm snapping along because you did that. Like, the points that were made in this novel weren't the first time that I would hear certain things said, but it was the fact that this was YA that had me like, oh my goodness. So I was an adult when I found out just how ignorant people can be when it comes to trans individuals. I was an adult when I really got a perspective of a queer person of color and how they interact in different spaces and the crap that they have to deal with. This book delved on kind of like the intersection between sexuality and race. It delved upon different queer identities. It dealt on, oh my god, it dealt on the kind of just how even within LGBTQIA plus spaces, trans individuals are still like excluded from those spaces because of ignorance and bigotry. And it was the first time that I was introduced to such a young voice mentioning it. Like I said, I was introduced to these things being discussed as an adult in like when I went to undergrad, basically like 18, 19 is when I was really introduced to the intersection of sexuality and race, and also how within LGBTQIA plus spaces, still trans individuals aren't always respected and are still dealing with bigotry and just foolishness is what I'm trying to say. And just like transphobia within what is supposed to be a safe space, within people that are supposed to be within their community, but still as trans individuals being excluded in a place that they should have pride. Just having a young voice discuss that made me hopeful, honestly, because when I was in high school, like I said, I didn't learn about this stuff until I was an undergrad and I had like friends within the community. But actually, like, reading from such a young voice, Felix I think it's his summer between junior and senior year. Beautiful, just beautiful. What really stood out to me, what I truly loved about the book is that it was these topics being discussed with such a young voice. Like, I would absolutely recommend this to younger people in my life because, wow, love it. Felix Ever After, again, it gives me that warm feeling of hope, even though it does deal with some triggering topics or some like hard to deal with topics. It did it in such a beautiful and an empowering way that honestly warmed my heart. Fall returns every year. Name an old favorite that you'd like to return to soon. Like, I think of books that I liked as like a child that I kind of want to reread, like the Nancy Drew series, or the Boxcar Children. I just remembered about them recently, and so they're kind of on my mind. But when it comes to they're on my mind. I don't know if I'm ever going to reread them, especially since I don't own the books right now. But I can't. An old favorite, I don't know. Can't think of it. One story that I feel like I will at some point reread, even revisit, and probably will do this multiple times because the story is so beautiful. Strange the Dreamer and Muse of Nightmares. Like, I love those. I love these two books with my whole heart, being and soul, and they are just so beautiful. They're just so beautifully written, and just I love it. I love it so much. And I also really enjoy the audiobook, and so I feel like I can always just return to the audiobook and feel that warm feeling, that warm and fuzzy feeling again there. Just the story and everything. Laszlo, Sarai, even Minya's little ass. I love them so much. And so, yeah, I feel like, although I don't currently feel like, first of all, it's not an old favorite. I discovered the series this year. Or not discovered it, but I read it this year. And I'm not going to reread it, but probably not before the year ends. So doesn't necessarily answer the prompt, but I feel like next year I will definitely do a reread of this. The year after that, I will probably reread it. Like, I just love this story. I find it so beautiful and so heartwarming for me personally. Fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories. Ah, yes, we stand. I love a great candle. I would grab the candle that I'm currently burning, but I'm currently burning it. So, maybe I'll insert a clip here. But I have my all-time favorite candle scent is the lava scent from DW Homes. If you have a TJ Maxx near you, go there. Go to their candle section, which is honestly my happy place. But go to their candle section, find the lava candle by DW Homes. That is my all-time favorite scent. I burn that candle year long. I don't currently have one of them because I'm trying to test out some new scents, and I've already finished my final lava candle. Although every time I go to TJ Maxx and I see it, I buy one. So there's the lava candle, also from DW Homes, that I am currently burning, is the honey pumpkin scent. It's a warm hug. It is. It's just a warm hug over here. It's great. Another candle, I haven't yet burned it, but it's a new one that I again found at TJ Maxx. TJ Maxx has all my favorite candles, honestly. And again, from DW Homes. Really like their collection, but what does it say? The bourbon barrel cake scent. So cozy. Like, literally the coziest, warmest vibes with those scents. I love it so much. Those are my favorite candles. Also, of course, I have my blankets. My favorite thing to do right now is just like pile on all my blankets. So these are literally all my blankets. And then, well, that's not all of them, but those are the ones that are always on my bed. And then I would say recently what is really helping me set the mood for reading are these lights being on behind me, these fairy lights. So soothing, so relaxing. It really gets that like autumnal feel, or like that cozy feel for me for whatever I'm doing. Sometimes I'll just have these on and like no light, because again it just feels warmer that way. But then I'm not gonna move that, but I do have a lamp over here, and again I guess I'll just insert a clip of the light. But I just switched out my lamp light with one of those like color changing ones that I can control through an app on my phone. And I'll usually change the color to like this one. This is actually the one in the app that's like called reading. So it's for when you're trying to read. Or I'll do like an orangey yellowish tone one for when I'm trying to read, or if I'm really trying to relax and like read in order to go to sleep, then I'm going to put on more like a purple hue or shade, or like a pink hue to the light, and that usually triggers my brain that we're relaxing now, slower breaths, we're gonna go sleep really soon. So yeah, my favorite accessories are going to be those candles, my blankets, and these lights. Like, all of that combined really helps me to set the mood for reading. Next up, final prompt: spread the autumnal appreciation and tag some people. Go ahead and press my channel. Go ahead and look at Bookish Besties. All of y'all, you do this tag. If you love me, do this tag, because like I said, fall is my favorite season of the year. All the cozy feels, I love it so much. That is all for today. So if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed my face, my voice, my extraness, go ahead and press that like button down below and press the subscribe button and the bell notification if you like to be notified when I upload. If you like to stay connected with me like I would like to stay connected with you, go ahead and check out my social medias linked down below. Now is the time to follow me on Instagram, because I'm doing even more community videos coming up soon. If you'd like to support this channel further, I of course have my Ko-fi and Amazon wishlist linked down below. And what have been some of you all's answers to some of these questions? I know when I am listening to a book tag video, I'm always answering all the questions. So go ahead and tell me what some of your answers to these questions have been. I would love to know. With that being said, I believe that is everything, although I am probably forgetting something, because I always forget something. But bye, guys.